EMR subdivision water line. For this topic, I'm going to step down from the board and recuse myself because I am involved in this with EMR and Worcester Associates. And Ralph, would you take over the meeting, please?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
What I'm getting out of this, the question is whether HDPE pipe,
There's, yes, whether the
or
district.
duct line.
There were.
Yeah, so,
Why is the district recommending duct line?
the district thinks HDPE, might not be the best for this situation, because it's permeable. Certain contaminants can permeate the pipe. So, standard practice is ductile. I mean, is that not prevailing standard for the district when we install the infrastructure?
Used to be.
So.
We're talking what, welded fittings, welded pipe.
Welded pipe.
Yeah.
It's all over, just my knowledge in plumbing. That's what the Northeast Water District replaced all their lines with, from Cooksey Drive, Seal Harbor, all the way back Northeast Harbor. They're all HDPE. Just, well,
Yeah,
so they believe in it for whatever reason.
right.
Have we got any, thing telling us that we cannot use this pipe? Or
Well,
not recommend it?
That would be the question, so, I think the problem is what we don't know, right? So, is there any, like phase one or phase two evaluations that have been done? Greg, do you have any information on that, or?
What, there has been some work done, but specific to the HDP, if I could talk to that for a minute.
Sure.
We've had a conversation and, it's not, first, it's not specifically prohibited by the rules of your board. In fact, some of the rules your board, reference, and this is the, Southern Water and Sewer District rules, has standard methods shall include the latest editions of AWWA, which is American Water Association. So the standards used that document is where that allow it, and so it's a matter of choice, but it's not specifically excluded. Some of the benefits we've found, better or worse, it doesn't burst if it freezes, right? The water, ductile iron, if you get a low spot like you just had in freezing, breaks. The strength of the HDP won't break. It also, the water hammers in it, it doesn't echo in transmission vibration. So if you have a lot of turns and bends, it's a little more flexible in those times where you might get water hammer, which you blow off the end of a hydrant. So there are benefits from it. And we've used it in every town. I could say I've put it in every place. Rarely have we had an issue. The other factors we think of when we have long runs is that the friction loss in the center of the pipes is a lot less than the cement line ductile iron. So you get a lot more for your bang out of it. So in my mind, other than the fear of, or maybe how you work on it and that stuff, I think it's an equivalent. I think at times of when you're installing it, you can get larger time frames done because of how much they can open up and use 40-foot sticks. Maybe 8-10 years ago, parts weren't ready available, but the mechanical strain joints to join each other, that kind of stuff is on hand. So to me, it's equivalent. The prices, and particularly Build America, Buy America, they put in federally funded projects which require buying American-made steel, have made even the other steel competitors raise their prices and stuff on steel, and it's a matter of dollars and cents. So the whole bother thing by the administration has raised the price of steel, but even those people who are not steel that are in America raise their prices too to kind of ride the coattail stuff. So it's an economical way if it's done properly when they seal the fusing. I think it works, but again, I looked at your standards, and Section 11 actually references AWA standards, and AWA, American Water Works, accepts it. So I don't see it prohibited. I see your standards actually allow it. It can be done if you can set up the protocols that keep it maintained.
Is there any reason it can't be 6 inch for that gate that Lee authorized years ago to be put there?
The only reason the pipe is 8 inches,
Yeah.
because that's what this board tasked us to do.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to reduce it to 6 inch.
Well, I'm just saying that 6 inch gate there,
Yeah, I know.
we put in,
Oh, right at the top there, 6-inch gate.
right there. I knocked it out for Eric one day.
Yeah.
What do we need for a fire hydrant?
I mean, it's gotta be at least 6.
I mean, that's why we probably talked about 6 back then, I don't remember 8, but,
Yeah, the only thing that I guess would say, is I don't think there's any question that HDPE is acceptable material. The question, or standard, question is it acceptable in this situation, right? So, again, is there a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental, site assessment? Do we know of any, groundwater mitigation that's taking place? Those would be the things to consider, really. And again, if we hook up to it and there's a problem later on, the utility has to bear that fallout, right? So I would say, you wanna consider all those things, before you make a recommendation or before you decide on anything, really.
okay. Yes, sir.
Craig Kesselheim. So, first of all, I'd just like you all to consider creating Zoom links for your meetings. I know that you don't get a lot of attendance, but you might get more from folks who are abutters or have an interest, but may not be in town or may not be able to. So I would urge you as a public body to make your meetings more accessible in multiple ways. So I'm sure I have gaps in my knowledge, I'm positive of that, but my understanding is that the water service is necessary because of significant chronic pollution in those Marshall Brook properties caused by the former landfill, which remains unresolved and uncapped. And in that respect, I would say whatever the industry standard or permits might allow, I would offer that you have an ethical and health responsibility to the citizens of Southwest Harbor to ensure that you have a conduit that does not leak the pollutants that are proven to be there between the landfill and the Marshall Brook watershed, where wells have been contaminated, shown to be contaminated. So there's that. And my other question and concern is, why should the town, in other words, we taxpayers, have any of the burden of the cost of this when the reason for the water delivery is not the town's doing? The reason for the need for water delivery instead of private wells is the chronic pollution that was caused by this unresolved landfill. That's my main reason for being here.
Worcester Associates is paying totally for the job.
Except for the difference between,
The increase in the pipe size was allow us to put fire hydrants in those areas that could be serviced by.
Could I respond to that?
Yes,
In one of my letters to the staff is I put forward a proposal that if we agreed that we could install HDPE pipe, we would install it at no cost to the town from the Long Pond Road and to Marshall Brook. So there would be no investment on the district or the town or whatever. And we would install, if it's agreeable to you, a 6-inch pipe from Long Pond to Marshall Brook, and up to 400 or 500 feet on each side of the road.
so is there not research that shows that HDPE, what the name of that pipe, whatever the initials are,
High density polyethylene.
can be permeable to pollutants from outside to inside? Is there not evidence that that is a known phenomenon?
there's no known,
No, I've not heard that. I know that metal is more caustic and corrosive to ductile iron. I've never heard, I'm not saying that exists, but I've never heard of HDPE being permeable by caustic elements. I have heard ductile iron because there's more joints. Those joints have gaskets in them, and so you have more opportunity in jointed gasket pipe than long sealed runs.
this the HDPE gets welded together, it's what they call butt fusion. So it becomes one piece of pipe.
It's one piece.
When you weld it.
joints.
could that be wrapped in that new stuff they've come out with now for wrapping ductile and wrapping AT in bad soil? That I've been to classes on it.
What I've read is that that step is necessary for ductile iron because it's iron.
Correct.
Yeah,
And HDPE is not because it's
but
AT.
I'm just saying, could it be more for protection? You know what I'm saying, be
I
wrapped?
don't know whether it would do any protecting because the wrap is made for iron pipe.
Yeah.
Fine, but, Jim, question?
Yeah, thanks. Just two pieces of information to add to Craig's and then questions for the board members. One is, for your information, the Worcester Associates holds a negative easement on the property in question here, the Tremont Farms subdivision. They placed a negative easement on there prohibiting any party, including the sewer and water district, from testing the groundwater, and including any future owners. That's the negative easement. Any future owners cannot test the groundwater, in which the town will be on the hook for this pipeline that he will generously turn over to the town at some point. Number two, when there was testing of that soil along the pathway of this proposed water pipe, they found PFAS, and his engineers dismissed it, and the planning board dismissed it as a testing error. But his engineers also would not attest that this is a safe place to develop. And the third piece of information, Mr. Worcester just said that this is part of his plan to bring water over to Marshall Brook. Well, to do that, he's gonna have to cross Worcester Associates parcel. And that, by the definition of DEP, is the uncontrolled landfill. So he's proposing to bring an HDPE permeable, we'll gladly share this information. Hopefully you'll hold off on any decisions until you receive information on the permeability of plastic pipes. Placing that in a wet area, which that area is, so you're gonna have pipes sitting in a wetland in known contaminated, uncontrolled, has been listed on the Superfund list, CERCLA. That's not, and then the taxpayers are gonna be on the hook for the liability of this going on. And my understanding is there's only one homeowner on Marshall Brook Road who has agreed to hook up. The others don't wanna pay for it because they are not responsible for the issue that they faced when they moved in. So those are pieces of information. My questions to the board are, how far along are you in this decision? How many public meetings have there been? Because I'm seeing that there's these agreements with the district, but I'm not seeing any public record of it, any minutes. I saw discussions from a few years ago, but you're just saying, oh, we've agreed on this side of a pipe, let's make it another size. Where is the public record for this discussion, and where are you at in your deliberations?
And will the installation of the pipeline itself disrupt the soil, the contaminated soil, within and adjacent to the Tremont Farm subdivision? Like, what's the route of this pipeline that would service Marshall Brook, and what kind of soil disturbance would happen in contaminated soils, which would, of course, release contaminants to the air and the water?
I think all the questions you asked, we'll take under advisement and we'll look into them. I doubt any decision will be made today. We're getting information together to form an opinion
Okay,
to move forward.
appreciate that.
At this point, that's all it is.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions for Lee, the district? Do you have any written paperwork that says we can't go either way?
That says you, what can or can't?
We can't go either way. HDPE,
So, I think the charter gives us pretty broad scope on what the final, infrastructure that we lay is.
because they're using that pipe everywhere. All the water.
I'm not disagreeing. It's definitely a cost-effective solution. I guess the question is, do you think it's effective in this situation? that's the decision that the board, can make. I can do some
Yeah.
research and get the information that you need, but ultimately it's up to you, so.
Well, any information that would tell us that we can't do it would be helpful.
Okay. Well, we can.
But, say, from my knowledge, it's being used everywhere, is the go-to piping these days. Anybody else on the board? Yeah. Karen?
I did receive some inquiry from a select board member asking about whether the district had made any decisions regarding HDPE versus ductile iron pipe. And if so, what were the factors that informed that decision? So you're gathering data, but that was a question that did come forward.
We have not.
And then, is there a position that if you used HDPE rather than ductile iron, or particularly would that shift costs to the district and ultimately the ratepayers? Those are the questions that came forward to me.
Jim, you had another question?
Oh, I just wanted to mention, I'm on the board, I'm the town's representative to the Acadia Disposal District, and part of our mandate is the safe and environmentally sound disposal of hazardous waste. We're sitting on $325,000 that we would like to use towards remediating that situation. We would like to cooperate with the owner as well as the water and sewer district in finding a global solution, as well as the town itself and the select board. My question to the district is that of interest to you, to have kind of a more open up this discussion to other interested parties like the Acadia Disposal District. Tony Smith is an expert in remediation. DEP, we need to get them in here. I don't know if you all have been in discussions with DEP. I know you have been in the consent order, and I don't know if that's anything that you've discussed at the board lately, and how this is related to that. But it's time to get this discussion into a broader, everyone's in their little buckets here, and we're not talking to each other, and it would be great to find a solution together.
Take it under advisement. Anything else from the board? Any questions? Lee, when do you need this information?
I am in hopes to be able to do some constructing this summer.
Okay.
We want to put this out to bid. I do need to know to do that, what the materials will be. I appreciate you're not going to be making a decision tonight, but can we put this on the agenda for your next monthly meeting, which would be in July?
I believe so. Bennett, did you gather any information, one way or the other?
So they do reckon a tracer wire with this new pipe, so we can find it, if they have to.
I think subsequently, if there's any questions about the substrate interaction with the pipe, we could do the same. He's had some testing, if there's any issues with that, not just in hey, is there any issues with HDPE in general, but I think the question was specific to this situation, and maybe ductile is more corrosive in this situation, and so I think we can add some information to that discussion.
Okay.
One other question. Do you have a map of the routing of this proposed pipeline?
We don't yet.
Not at this point.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be,
We know it's going down the approved subdivision road of the Tremont Farm Road, which will take it to Worcester Associates, and Worcester Associates, we have a couple of pathways we can go, and we haven't decided exactly where that will be.
How many people have signed up on Marshall Brook?
It's either 4 or 5, Jim.
They've signed easements and everything?
Yes, they're recorded in the registry.
And is that the proper size for that many delivery points?
For me to provide water, I could do it with a 3-inch pipe.
And how is it gonna be sitting there? Is there gonna be a lot of water sitting there at the bottom of the pipe?
What do you mean?
Like, just kind of sitting and gathering, just,
Again, a 3-inch pipe would provide them with more than adequate water. The reason for the larger pipe is so that the water company would have, and the town would have the ability to put fire hydrants on the end of it where you have a residential neighborhood.
Tom Chisholm required, he's not required, but asking for one, I
Yes,
think,
yes, he is.
which makes sense. I mean,
And we'll be putting hydrants
in the subdivision itself.
And has DEP have you talked to DEP about building it across your landfill?
Yes.
And they approved it? No.
No, but I don't know as to whether they actually have to, quote, approve it.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
To me, the question was forward facing whether to allow the project to move forward with HDPE or whether we need ductile iron. I
It
don't
could-
see any other question before us at this point.
Could it also be, should it be done in general because you're building it across an uncontrolled landfill? Shouldn't that basic question be part of your
That's not,
consideration? It is part of your
That's
consideration.
planning board.
No, it's your, no, this is a different property. The bringing it across to Marshall Brook takes it onto an entirely different property. It was not litigated by the planning board.
Asked when this was proposed about increased pipe size to allow fire hydrants. It's up, he is gonna do the project, and if it conforms to the district standards, we will take over the line.
Including on the old landfill.
If it's the correct size, the correct material, everything that comes under the rules of the district.
Can you imagine what will happen when that pipe delivers contaminated water from the old Superfund site and the town is on the hook because Mr. Worcester has turned it over to the town? You know what kind of blowback there's gonna be and implications on people? There's gonna be blowback for this anyway that you're even thinking about this. Honestly. It's just absurd. If you talk to anybody,
Okay,
it's absurd.
Thank you.
Okay. I know where you stand.
Is there any other questions? We put this on the next agenda.
Spicy one, all right, we'll do it, next agenda.
Thank you.